The day of power of love overrules the love of power. The world will know peace. I know I usually start out our sessions together with a greeting and a little bit of a conversation about where we are in our Advent meditations. But that quote by Mahatma Gandhi was so powerful. I thought that's the way I needed to first connect into our subject for today. And in fact, I'm gonna read it to you again. The day the power of love overrules the love of power, the world will know peace. So welcome back to another meditation on the subject of peace. And today we're going to use the words of a hymn known as Lead Us, O Father. It's hymn 703 in the Episcopal hymnal. And we're going to just dive right into it and hear what it has to tell us about the idea of God's peace and what it describes about times possibly in our lives when we weren't able to tap into that peace and how difficult and different it is when you're not feeling that. Let's go ahead and get right into our hymn. So take a moment to settle down in the place where you are. A couple of those deep, relaxing breaths that just seem to expel the anxiety out of your system. We're getting farther and farther into our Advent season. It feels oftentimes like the anxiety just gets to be more. So let's let that all go for a moment and tap into that peace. Lead us, O Father, in paths of peace. Without thy guiding hand, we go astray, and doubts appall, and sorrows still increase. Lead us through Christ, the true and living way. Lead us, O Father, in paths of truth. Unhelped by thee, in error's maze we grope, while passion stains and folly dims our youth, and age comes on, uncheered by faith and hope. Lead us, O Father, in paths of right. Blindly we stumble when we walk alone, involved in shadows of a darksome night. Only with thee we journey safely on. Lead us, O Father, to thy heavenly rest. However rough and steep the path may be, through joy or sorrow, as thou deemest best, until our lives are perfect in thee. We have very little information about this particular hymn by the author, about the author, or about anything around the circumstances of when it was written or why it was written. All we know was these poetic set of verses were created by William H. Burley, who was an active reformer and a member of the Unitarian Church. The hymn itself had some popularity in the United States, but it became very popular in the United Kingdom when it was set to a tune by a Welsh composer, Jason Wilkins. And the tune itself was originally written to go with the words for Abide With Me, and then were then used for this particular hymn where it gained much more popularity. One of the most impactful elements of this particular hymn is the images that it gives to us. For example, the image in the second verse where it talks about the challenges of going through life without God's presence, through our youth and into our old age, without having faith and hope, and how important that is to our lives. From the letter to the Colossians, written by Paul, we have this about peace. Let the peace of Christ rule in your hearts, since as members of one body, you were called to peace. And be thankful. Let the message of Christ dwell among you richly as you teach and admonish one another with all wisdom through psalms, hymns, and songs from the Spirit, singing to God with gratitude in your hearts. And whatever you do, whether in word or deed, do it all in the name of the Lord Jesus, giving thanks to God the Father through him. And so I have some questions for you to ponder throughout the rest of your time. First one is, have you ever had a time in your life where you have tried to get by without relying on God, thinking you could handle it yourself? And my second question was, how do the images that are in this particular hymn reflect how that time may have felt for you? And finally, how does God's peace change the struggles of how we deal with things like sorrow and darkness in our lives? So thank you for joining me again today in our continued conversation about peace and things that stand as polar opposites of peace, like not just war, but stress and distress and darkness and sorrow. So I look forward to coming back together with you again tomorrow. But until we meet again, be sure to take care of yourselves, and may God continue to bless you.